After months of silence, unexpected distance, and unanswered questions, the world finally witnessed a moment that felt straight out of a romantic drama. The Yu and Tian Xuning, once thought to have gone their separate ways, appeared together again. And this time, it wasn't just for a project, it was for something deeper, something that reignited everything their fans had been waiting for. It all started quietly. No teaser, no press release, no leaks. Just a single photo that appeared online, Yu and Tian Xuning standing side by side at a closed-door rehearsal for an upcoming global awards show. Within minutes, social media exploded. The image, though slightly blurred, showed them looking at each other with soft smiles that spoke volumes. Fans immediately noticed the familiarity in their eyes, the warmth that had once defined their on-screen chemistry. For those who followed their journey, it felt like destiny had written this reunion long ago. Yu and Tian Xuning's partnership had always been special, from their first drama together, where their undeniable connection turned them into one of Asia's most beloved screen couples, to the rumors that followed them off set. Yet after a sudden split in projects and months of silence, fans feared the two had grown apart for good. But now, it seemed the universe had other plans. During the awards show, when the lights dimmed and the opening chords of a familiar song began to play, the crowd erupted. Yu walked onto the stage first, poised and confident, dressed in a classic black suit that shimmered under the spotlight. Then, from the opposite side, Tian Xuning appeared, elegant, radiant, her presence commanding the entire room. The audience instantly realized what was happening, a live duet, the first time the two had performed together in nearly 2 years. The song choice was poetic, a soft, emotional ballad about second chances and unfinished stories. Their voices blended seamlessly, just like before, but this time, there was something raw, almost vulnerable, in the way they looked at each other. When the camera zoomed in, it captured the exact moment Yu's eyes met Tian Xuning's, and the world stopped for a second. Viewers described it as electricity. It wasn't scripted, it wasn't planned, it was genuine emotion caught live, raw and unfiltered. After the performance, the clip spread like wildfire. Within hours, hashtags like hashtag Yu Tian Xuning reunion, hashtag from silence to sparks, and hashtag their eyes said it all began trending globally. Even celebrities and fellow artists joined in, commenting on the pair's undeniable chemistry. "Some bonds never fade," one popular actor wrote. "You can see it in their smiles." Behind the scenes, close sources later revealed that the reunion had been in discussion for months. It wasn't just a professional decision, it was personal. Both Yu and Tian Xuning had agreed to reconnect on stage only if it felt right, only if enough time had passed for wounds to heal and emotions to realign. A source close to the production revealed they both wanted this to be authentic. They didn't want to perform for publicity, they wanted to perform because they were ready. After the show, fans spotted the two leaving the venue together, accompanied by only a few staff members. Yu, as always, stayed close, guiding Tian Xuning through the crowd as flashes from cameras filled the air. When one reporter called out, "Are you two back together?" Yu paused, smiled, and replied gently, "Some things don't need labels. You'll see through actions." That moment alone was enough to send fans into a frenzy. In the following days, both stars posted on their respective social media accounts subtle, heartfelt messages that seemed to echo each other. Yu wrote, "Some silences aren't empty. They're full of everything we couldn't say." Hours later, Tian Xuning shared her own post, and when the time was right, silence became music again. It didn't take long for fans to connect the dots. Their comeback wasn't just a professional reunion. It was emotional closure, maybe even a new beginning. Industry insiders claimed that the emotional energy between them on stage wasn't just acting. Many believed that both had been in quiet contact for months, rebuilding trust and friendship after years of distance. In one interview shortly after the performance, Tian Xuning hinted that their relationship had matured. "Sometimes life takes you apart," she said softly. "But when you meet again, you realize the bond never really left. It was just waiting for the right moment." Meanwhile, Yu, known for his calm and thoughtful personality, shared his perspective during an exclusive radio interview. "You don't forget people who truly understand your soul," he said. "You just learn how to meet them again, differently, and maybe more sincerely." Their words only deepened the intrigue. Fans began revisiting old interviews, behind-the-scenes clips, and their early projects, noting how the two had always shared something more than professional respect. The natural comfort, the way they laughed together, the subtle gestures, it all seemed to make sense now. What makes this comeback even more meaningful is how quiet it was. There was no grand announcement, no flashy press conference. Just two people standing under the same light again, letting emotions speak louder than words. Since that performance, their careers have taken off again. Ziyu has been cast in a new historical drama, while Tian Xuning is set to lead a major international film project. Yet despite their busy schedules, fans can't help but notice the synchronicity between their activities, shared events, similar quotes, and mutual support that feels almost deliberate. Whether this reunion marks the start of something romantic or simply a deep, unshakable friendship, one thing is clear, their connection remains one of the most captivating in the entertainment world. From silence came sparks. From distance came destiny. And as the world continues to watch them, one truth becomes undeniable. Some stories, no matter how much time passes, are simply meant to find their way back. As the dust settled from their unforgettable performance, the world couldn't stop talking about Ziyu and Tian Xuning. Fans replayed every frame, dissected every glance, and relived every lyric of their duet. The performance had ended, but the emotion lingered, deep, real, and impossible to ignore. In the days that followed, something interesting began to happen. The entertainment industry, usually fast-paced and always moving on to the next big thing, seemed to pause. Interviews, talk shows, and fan accounts all circled back to one topic: what really happened between Ziyu and Tian Xuning during those silent months. No one knew exactly when the two started reconnecting, but subtle signs had been there all along. A shared song on their playlists, matching bracelets spotted by eagle-eyed fans, even a few overlapping travel dates that, at the time, seemed coincidental. But now, looking back, it all seemed intentional, like they had been quietly preparing for this moment. Behind the scenes, a few insiders began sharing details of their emotional reunion before the concert. Apparently, Ziyu was the one who reached out first. According to one source close to the production, Ziyu had called Tian Xuning a few months prior, saying he wanted to meet her in person, not as colleagues, not as old co-stars, but as two people who needed closure. The meeting reportedly took place at a quiet riverside cafe in Shanghai, far away from fans and media. When Tian Xuning walked in, Ziyu stood up immediately. There was no script, no rehearsed apology, just two people who had once shared so much, now standing in front of each other again after so long. Those who saw them that day said it was emotional. Ziyu, usually calm and composed, looked nervous. Tian Xuning, though graceful as ever, seemed hesitant but hopeful. Their conversation lasted for hours. They talked about the misunderstandings that drove them apart, the struggles of fame, and the pain of being constantly under the public eye. But most importantly, they talked about healing. By the time the meeting ended, both of them had tears in their eyes. Not out of regret, but out of relief. Relief that after years of silence, they could finally speak freely again. That moment, sources say, changed everything. It wasn't just a reconciliation of two actors, it was the rebirth of a bond that had once inspired millions. And from that day forward, they decided to rebuild, not for the cameras, not for headlines, but for themselves. When the award show invitation came, it felt like fate. Both had initially declined separately, but when the organizers suggested a reunion duet, the idea felt right. It wasn't easy. Both were anxious about how the public might react, but they decided to take the risk. And when they finally stepped onto that stage, it wasn't about fame or nostalgia. It was about truth. After the concert, Tian Xuning was spotted at Ziyu's studio several times. At first, fans thought it was purely professional. They assumed she was visiting to discuss their next project. But insiders later revealed that the two had started spending time together outside of work. They would often take long evening walks, talking about art, life, and everything they missed during their time apart. One eyewitness recalled seeing them sitting by the river after midnight, quietly sharing a meal from a street vendor. They looked peaceful, the witness said. No pretense, no acting, just two people enjoying each other's company. You could tell there was a lot of history between them. And soon, fans began noticing something else. Yu and Tian Xuning had started subtly supporting each other online again. When Yu released a new soundtrack, Tian Xuning reposted it with a simple caption, "Beautiful work, as always." Later, when Tian Xuning's movie poster dropped, Yu commented, "Proud of you." These simple gestures sent their fandoms into a frenzy. Many took it as confirmation that something had rekindled. Still, both remained quiet about the true nature of their relationship. In a recent interview, Tian Xuning was asked if she and Yu were back together. She smiled softly and replied, "Some bonds are beyond titles. We found peace, and that's enough." Yu echoed similar sentiments in his own interview, saying, "There are people you meet who change your direction in life. No matter where you go, their presence stays with you. Some connections aren't meant to fade, they evolve." But the emotional highlight came weeks later, when Yu made a surprise appearance at Tian Xuning's solo event. Fans had gathered for her art exhibition, unaware that Yu was secretly there. Halfway through her speech, he stepped out from behind the crowd, holding a single white rose. The room fell silent. Tian Xuning froze mid-sentence, visibly emotional. Yu walked up, smiled, and simply said, "I promised I'd show up for you this time." She took the rose, tears forming in her eyes, and for a brief moment, they embraced in front of everyone. Cameras flashed, fans cheered, and that one gesture, so small, yet so powerful, became the moment that sealed their comeback. From that day, the internet exploded with support. Fans celebrated the return of Xinsun, their beloved ship name. Many said the moment felt like watching love heal itself. Others called it proof that real bonds never die, they just wait for the right time to bloom again. Industry insiders now speculate that the two may collaborate once more, this time on a film said to explore themes of lost love and reunion. When asked if he would consider working with Tian Xuning again, Yu smiled and said, "If the story feels real, like ours did, I would." Tian Xuning, when later questioned about it, simply replied, "Some stories deserve a second chapter." And maybe that's exactly what this is, their second chapter. A story not about the past, but about rediscovery, healing, and the courage to begin again. Because sometimes, even after years of silence, the right spark can reignite everything. And for Yu and Tian Xuning, that spark is burning brighter than ever.